Hey guys, welcome back to the Backyard Foam channel. Today we are going to be talking about the testing procedures that we're going to be putting our blasters through for you guys. We're going to talk about the ammo we use, the different types of equipment that we're using, and then how we're going to gather all that data and put it out and present it to you guys to share with you so that you can make a purchasing decision, or you can build your next loadout and make some educated decisions based on what we find. Now, I do want to let you know we are a one-channel type of testing facility. I'm one person, so make sure that when you are looking for information, you're going to multiple sources and getting multiple reviews and testing results and things like that. One blaster does not make a good pool, but that's what I've got. So we will be going through some of our blasters that we have on our back catalog, as well as some new blasters that come out as they're coming out and hitting store shelves. Obviously at this point, with the channel just starting out, I don't expect any company to send us anything whatsoever. So when you see it on the shelves is when we see it on the shelves. So we'll be making videos as they come out and as things start to kind of roll out onto the store shelf. So with that being said, I want to start with the ammo and kind of go from there, and then we'll talk about the equipment second. So we are going to be focusing on short darts primarily. We will talk about long darts, we'll talk about rival and hyper as well. For now we're going to skip ultra, and we'll come back to that at a later time, I think. But for right now, we're just going to focus on those four ammo types just to make sure that we're covering all our bases. So as far as different companies, obviously we need to make sure that we provide information for all types of darts. So for the short darts, we're going to be going with a couple different variations. We've got the Worker Gen 3. This is the newest one from Worker. We'll be using all brand new darts in every test that we run, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, are they using, what happens when are these tests done with used darts? No, they are 100% brand new. Every dart is shot one time and that's it. Then they'll go into our pile for our wars and all that stuff. So we'll be using Worker. Then we'll also be using the Dart Zone Chili darts, the half-link dart, or no, these are the Ember darts, excuse me, the Ember darts. And then we've got the Dart Zone, what are these, Pro, these are the Pro bamboo darts, so these are the 2.0 version. So we've got those three. We're also going to be using these Adventure Force tactical strike darts as well. These are the gray with the orange tip ones. So between those four darts, I think we should have a good selection. A good review for you guys. As far as our review process goes, each one of our tests are going to be done with 20 darts total. That's going to be our pool for each individual thing. So we're going to shoot 20 of the Dart Zone Bamboo, 20 of the Max, 20 of the Worker, and then 20 of the AF Pros. So there's going to be a lot of ammo, a lot of foam being flung. So that's those. As far as full-length darts, this is kind of weird. I didn't really know what to go with these. Obviously, we've got to test the Nerf darts. I mean, we all know they're terrible, but we've got to test those. I actually didn't have any new ones. I need to go pick some up. This is a pretty bad looking one. It's got all kinds of dents and looks like a dog tried to get a hold of it. But we'll be using, unreluctantly, be using the Nerf darts. And then I found a company, and I'm sure you guys have heard of them, called Little Valentine. They make a similar dart to Nerf in that it's an orange tip with a blue body. The tip is a little bit heavier and a little bit more like, it's not, I don't want to say it's hard plastic, but like when you press on the Nerf one, you can see it collapse. When you press on the Little Valentine one, it's a little bit stiffer. So I wanted to test these. These ones I seem to have a little bit better luck with. So we're going to test those. And then the tried and true, the Adventure Force waffle darts. These ones we're definitely testing. And then let me know if you guys want me to test these. These are the Adventure Force full-length darts. I'll have to order these special because I don't think they sell them in stores. Let me know if you want me to test these. Likewise with the Dart Zone Bamboo darts. I know they make full size of these as well. If you want me to test those in the full length, I can. But for right now, I think we're just going to stick with these three: the Nerf, the Little Valentine, and then the waffle. Obviously get the worst, the kind of the the mediocre, and then the best one possible. So that's your full length dart. And then as far as rival goes, this is where I kind of hesitate, because we have the Nerf. This is the Nerf one, right? Yeah, we've got Nerf. Those are kind of hard to come by nowadays. They've got the Nerf AccuStrike, so we could probably pick up some of those and try and use those out. Now, I used to buy headshot ammo, and like they were really, really good. We have a whole bunch of headshot ammo that's from the past couple of years, and like this was really good ammo. But the last war that we had, we bought a few extras just so that we had some new rounds, and this stuff is rock hard. Like this is what we had a couple years ago, and like you can see how squishy it is compared to like. Oh, man, this is like I can feel the tendons in my forearm like tensing up, but like there's definitely a huge difference. So we're not going to be testing headshot ammo. I'll probably keep buying on Amazon periodically to see if they change. I know this is kind of a big thing going on in the past couple months. Out of Darts put something out, but I'll buy these periodically and then just send them back if they're this garbage until they get them up. Because I mean, you can even hear the difference. I don't know if this is picking up on camera, but listen to the difference when I drop this into this. So this is the new one, and then this is the original. Like it's there's a lot more spring in it. So we'll definitely be getting the AccuStrike ones or the blue blue ones. But I also found the Little Valentine team. They make ones as well. We used these in our last Nerf war, and these are the glow and dark ones. But they're not quite as squishy as the Nerf ones, but they're definitely not as hard as it's kind of like a middle ground between the new headshot ammo and the Nerf one. So we might be testing these out as well. As far as Hyper goes, we'll be testing out the tried and true Hyper, and then Little Valentine again. They make a Hyper round that we're going to be testing out as well. So between all those, like I said, each of our tests we're going to be running through with 20 shots each. So let's actually kind of get into the actual tests that we're going to be doing. So the first one that we're going to be doing is a FPS and a rate of fire test. So the FPS is going to be with a 20 shot pool. And then we'll take the average of that, we'll give you the high, we'll give you the low, and then we're also going to give you the deviation. So that kind of tells you like, hey, this is the average, but you can expect it, up deviation of 10 to 15, so that will tell you that it varies wildly. Or if it's a lower number, like a 1 or a 2 deviation, that means, the average is 100 FPS, and every once in a while you might hit 101 or 102, or you might hit 99 or 98. So that information will come from our chronograph. Rate of fire is something that we're going to be testing only for our full auto blasters, only because rate of fire with like a Springer that you have to pump action and things like that is kind of reliant on the operator itself. So we're not going to test that. We're going to try and stay as close to factual statistics and not, try to leave out as much, outside of the blaster. Make sure the blaster is doing most of the work. So full auto is going to be tested through the chronograph. So we'll get an average FPS for that. Then we're going to be doing range tests. This is going to be more so like an accuracy range test. We have a 2-foot target, and then on the range we have set out different markers. We've got a 30, a 45, and a 60 marker. And then what we'll be doing is we'll be starting out at the 30 marker. If the blaster does not hit 50% of those shots, then we've got a 20-foot marker that will only be used in that case. If a blaster fails that 30 mark, we won't do obviously the 45 or the 60 because that doesn't make any sense. So we'll forego those data points and move forward to the 20-foot. Now this is good information to have for a certain audience. Our primary goal is for obviously backyard fun and backyard wars at parks and stuff like that. So 30 feet is kind of like the bare minimum. This is more for like sidearms and pistols and things like that. Secondaries. If your primary is only shooting 30 feet, you might be a run and gunner. I'm not sure, but at any rate, the 20-foot test is more of for like inside nerfers. So people that are shooting indoors and want, you know, a precision shot, but obviously they don't need to be shooting accurate for up to 50 feet. So that's why we've initiated that test. So that 20-foot test is only if a blaster fails at 50% or less of the 30 mark. So not every blaster will do the 20, and not every blaster will do the 45 or the 60. Obviously, for obvious reasons, we don't want to burn through hundreds and hundreds of ammo. We want to try and save as much as humanly possible. So anyway, that's kind of how it goes. And then likewise, if a blaster shoots less than 50% at the 60 mark, we aren't going to go any further back. That 50% is kind of where we draw the line. And then from that information, we'll know what dart is the best as far as hitting accuracy goes. And then we're going to look at precision. Precision and accuracy are a little bit different in the sense that accuracy is going to tell you how many times out of 20 did this dart hit the target. Precision is how close is the grouping, right? So out of the 20 darts, you know, how close are each of those darts hitting to the center, or not even necessarily to the center, but how close are they together? What's the radius of the shots? So we'll be looking at that. That's going to be more of an estimate because we're shooting at a wooden target. So obviously we don't, have the exact measurements, but we can use our cameras and things like that to make sure that we're getting a close enough accurate pinpoint. We've got a couple different markers on the actual target itself so that we can kind of measure on screen what that is. So we'll be using a couple different cameras to capture this audio, capture the video and some of the audio. So we'll definitely have footage of the actual range shots and down the scope and things like that. The other thing that we're going to be using out on the range is the tripods. So we want to make sure that our shots are level and not arced, and that's one of the things that I am very, very keen on. A lot of the YouTubers and things like that will do range tests, and that's fantastic. We're going to be doing our range test as well. As far as max range goes, we'll be talking about that in just a second. But I want to make sure that all of our shots are 100% level and that we are locked in and shooting straight at the target. We're not arcing our weapon at any angle whatsoever. So we'll be sitting down at a table. We'll using a tripod, using a vise if necessary, things like that, just to make sure that we are shooting straight at the target and getting those data points. And that's what I mean by data points at the 30, 45, and 60, because people might say that and say like, well, the Nexus Pro claims to shoot 125 feet. And while it very well does, that's with a little bit of an arch. And we all know the further angle you go, the more arch you have, the less accuracy you have, the less precision you have downrange. So we want to focus more so on, I want to aim at my target and what's my chances of doing a straight shot right at him or her. So we'll be using a various selection of tripods, vices, and things like that to make sure that the weapon, the blasters, are horizontal with the ground. Now that's not to say that we're not going to test out the max range of our blasters. We are definitely going to be doing that. So we've got our roller measurement wheel, whatever here. This will give us a accurate reading of how far a blaster can shoot. We've got a GoPro mounted, so it will be able to record the actual measuring of the blaster. So what we'll do for this type of test, we'll be angling the blaster between 30 and 45 degrees, somewhere in there. This isn't going to be like a huge data point for us. It's more or less to check and confirm the information that's on the boxes, right? So like boxes that say, oh, shoots over 200 feet or whatever the case may be. That may be all well and good, but you have to have the wind at your back, and you might need to be shooting uphill and then also at an angle, and we want to make sure that we're 100% honest with you guys, and this is one of the ways that we can keep companies honest, is, hey, if you do nerf like that, this is going to make sure that this is going to give you confirmation of that. You can also use these data points to compare blasters against each other. So going back to the actual target range shooting, the other data point, the other information that we're going to be able to gather from this is not only what dart is best for each individual weapon, but we're also going to be able to tell you what the optimal range is. And the way we're going to look at that is, we're going to look at the accuracy, the precision, and then give a kind of, not necessarily a definitive check mark, but more of like a suggestion of, hey, this blaster shoots much better at 60 feet versus 75. Here are the accuracy data points and things like that. And we'll make sure to put that information up on screen for you guys. The other thing that I wanted to include in our videos and in our testing is the strength required to prime a pump action weapon. So we've got and I think we're going to be using this. I tried it out on the Nexus, it worked pretty good. We've got a weight scale here. So basically what we'll do is we'll attach this end, most likely to something. I've got like a sling here. This worked really well for the Nexus. We'll attach the sling to this, and then we'll prime the blaster, and this has a dial on it that reads out how many pounds of pressure, how many pounds of force is required to pump that actual weapon. This is important for me only because I've got a couple of kids that are in various ages. I've got a 5-year-old nerfer and I've got an 11-year-old nerfer. So talk about a pretty big swing as far as who can use what type of blaster. So that's really kind of for me. If you're a father or a mother and you've got kids, this is information that's great for making purchasing decisions for gifts. It's great because you can say, hey, my kid's got this weapon and it takes this much to pull. And that's one of the things that we're going to go back in and kind of retcon some of our information, is we're going to test this do this test on, as well as some of these other ones, on our older blasters, to give you those kind of points of information, those reference points. So if your child has, let's say, a strong arm, right? I'm not going to go back and do a review on a strong arm or anything like that, or testing procedures for a video, but I might run it through some of these tests or whatever and give you, this is a good piece of information to have, because if they can prime a strong arm, are they going to be able to prime a Nexus Pro? Chances are the answer is no, if they struggle with the strong arm. So this way, unlike myself, where I've bought my 5-year-old a few different blasters and he's struggled with them. I've come to find out that he can definitely handle like the T-pulls and like the D-rings and things like that as far as pulling the priming handles go. But like the shotgun style ones and the Chronos and things like that, he struggles with those because he doesn't quite have a good enough grip yet. The 11-year-old seems to be pretty good, but this is more for younger nerfers, for parents that are purchasing blasters. Plus, it's also a good piece of information to have. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and it won't be any type of specific test, is I'm going to put each of the blasters in my 11-year-old and in my 5-year-old's hands and see how they like it. Obviously, for things like the Nexus Pro, the 5-year-old isn't going to be able to do it, so we probably won't even test that. We probably won't even put it in his hands. But things like the Mark III, for example, where it takes a little bit of dexterity to press the press the rev trigger and then press the fire trigger, that might be a little bit different for the 5-year-old to make sure he has that dexterity and that finger precision. So understanding what a 5-year-old can do versus what an 11-year-old can do, and giving you that information as well. I might also get their feedback about the blasters too, so that that could be something that would go into the video under the observation and opinion section of the videos. But yeah, so this is pretty much what we're going to be doing as far as our testing procedures go. We're not going to be really going into like compatibility as far as like magazines go. I use Talon magazines for my Nexus Pro. My son uses these for his Mark III. Pretty much this is what we use exclusively. So we'll probably be testing out with these if they're compatible, but we'll most likely be doing all the tests with what comes with the blaster. And then we'll give you some opinions about if this works or whatever, since these really won't affect performance as much. Obviously, if they jam, we'll give you that information, but we're not going through every magazine, the Katanas, the Tachis. We're not going to be going through, the drum magazines for Nerf and all those different ones. We don't have that. I don't have that type of funding yet, so that's not gonna. Maybe in the future, world where we've got some reviews under our belt and things like that. But right now, we're just going to stick with the magazines that come with the actual blasters, and then we'll probably throw in some Talons there while we're at it. But yeah, we're besides the actual testing, all of our videos are going to include kind of like an observation of the range test, what we found out. We'll talk about the darts that we used, and then we're going to I'd also like to talk about where the weapons fit in your loadout and what I would use them for. Secondary, primary, is this kind of like a more like HVZ type of weapon, or whatever the case may be? How does this fit into your loadout? And then I'm also going to compare it to my current loadout and say, is this something that I would use instead of my Nexus Pro or instead of my Mark II or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of data points here, a lot of information that's going to be coming at you guys. So to keep things short and sweet and not 30, 45 minutes long, we will be cutting videos down. We'll be showing some of the actual testing procedures, but like I said, we're going to be shooting 20 darts at 30, 20 darts at 45, and 20 darts at 60 for 4 types of ammo if it's a short dart, right? So that's a lot of firing time. So the video isn't going to include all of it. It will include a few shots here and there, and then it'll show the results. But the big thing is to show the results. So for example, for like the range test or whatever, we might show like 2 or 3 shots of each of the darts at the different lengths, but we're definitely going to show all of the data points between each of the darts. So you'll definitely get the information at the end, but we don't want to bore you to tears with the process. So to keep things as short as possible, that's kind of how it's going to go. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to kind of diving in and getting these data points to you guys. Speaking of that, what we're going to do is create a Google Doc that has all of the information of each of our blasters, all of our findings and everything like that. The other thing that I want to do is make sure that we're notating when we're shooting a stock blaster, and then also notating when we're shooting a upgraded or modded blaster and what has been done to that blaster. Some of the things might be like a spring upgrade, or maybe a spring compression point or whatever that'll help compress the spring a little bit more. Other things might be more functionality upgrades. So like using Talon mags in the Mark III, we had to modify my son's blaster, cutting off part of the inside of the blaster so that the lips of the of this magazine would fit in, and the dart wouldn't get crushed. So that's something that we would definitely notate ahead of time. You'll know everything that's been done to the blaster beforehand. We want to make sure that we're honest with you guys and understand, like, hey, this is what we've done and this is how we've modified it. We'll also leave links and stuff like that. So if there's things that we've purchased online or things that we've got off of the internet for the 3D printer, we'll leave links in the description, definitely, for sure. If something changes, like let's say Headshot gets their crap together and we're not shooting like freaking stones at each other, maybe we go back and test some of the rival shots, and that information, rather than re-uploading a video, Or maybe that's a video on its own where we go through and show you a whole bunch of different data points for various blasters. But we'll also go back and edit the description to show you, to give you information like, hey, Headshot Ammo is back up. Here's the date that we've purchased and received decent ammo, and here's our results. We'll go back in the Google Doc and we'll make a second line notation about, you know, the Headshot Ammo and things like that. So yeah, so that document will always be updated every video. So even if you go back and watch an old video of ours, that information will be up to date, and you can search it, you'll be able to filter it, things like that. So, you know, this is something that I personally would have loved to have when searching for my primary, my secondary. Just getting back into this hobby a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, you know, trying to find out which darts, you know, what darts to use that work good for my primary and also work good for my secondary. The other thing that I really enjoy using is a kind of like a final 2 shot marker dart. So the last 2 shots in my magazine are a different color. So knowing like, hey, this is, you know, these two bullets shoot pretty well together. This one's a little bit better in my blaster. This one's slightly worse, so I'm going to basically fill the magazine with this, and the last 2 are going to be this one. Kind of like that. The other thing that I would have loved to have when I was picking out my different types of blasters was what ammo type is good between my primary and my secondary. That way I don't have to buy a box for my primary and a box for my secondary. I can find a secondary that matches my primary and then be off to the races. I only need to buy 1 box of ammo, and I don't need to worry about which ammo am I loading in. You know, magazines all work the same, so if my secondary takes the same magazine, which would be fantastic, it doesn't matter which one I pull from my chest rig. I know that it's got the best ammo at the very top, and then the final 2 are the second best ammo for my primary and my secondary. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but you can kind of see how passionate I am, and this is kind of like the information that I wanted when I was searching for it. And rather than searching a whole bunch of channels and trying to find out this information and not getting exactly what I'm looking for, I kind of want to be a one-place stop to give you that information. And like I said at the beginning of the video, in a sense that I don't want to be a one-stop shop, I want to encourage you to go to other YouTubers and go to other nerfers and find out what their results are, because their results, I mean, my blaster could be a lemon, my blaster could be, you know, the top tier or whatever of the run. It could be anything. That's the kind of the, you know, kind of the luck of the draw, so to speak, because I'm only purchasing 1 blaster. I'm only testing 1 blaster. So definitely check other places. Don't just use ours as the sole proprietor for information like this. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it kind of gave you some insight as far as what we're going to be doing. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys in the comments. Make sure you leave a comment down below if there's something that I missed, if there's something that you want us to test specifically. Heck, if there's any darts that we missed that you might be interested in, be more than happy to pick them up and test them out. Like I said, we're just using new darts. So yeah, so make sure that they're available and they're not crazy expensive. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.